All right, this update is brought to you by Staples Stores. Padres could not complete the sweep today as they lost to the Brewers 1-0. Michael King took a no-hitter into the eighth inning. Padres finished up their six-game roadie 4-2. They have an off day tomorrow before they start a three-game series at home with the Blue Jays. In the NBA play-in last night, Lakers beat the Pelicans. They are the 7th seed. They will take on the Nuggets in the first round. And the Kings beat the Warriors, meaning the Kings will take on the Pelicans for the right to the 8th seed. And other Padres news of the day, Yu Darvish was placed on the 15-day IL with neck pain. Staples can print anything you need to move your business forward, like banners, flyers, signs, and catalogs, even some on the same day. And now at Staples, save $50 on your print purchase of $150 or more. Offer ends 6/1. Visit staples.com/print for details. Staples, your local print and marketing expert. What's going on, San Diego? Jon and Jim on a Wednesday, taking it up to 6 o'clock tonight. Again, it's just the Jim Russell Show this week with Brent. Jon will be back next week. Padres had a chance to get their first sweep of the year today. Did not happen. It was a very 2023-esque Padres loss today, so we'll get into that game. We'll hear from Schulte talking about today's loss. Michael King pitched great. We'll also give an update on Yu Darvish, who went on the 15-day IL today as well. The end of the Warriors dynasty is upon us. It's official. I'll get into that later in the show. Also, Eric Hosmer was on a radio station in the building on Rock 105.3 on the show. Our good buddies over there. And we're going to hear some comments from Eric Hosmer about this Padres team and his thoughts on AJ Preller, which are very, very interesting there. Also, coming up at 5 o'clock today, former Aztec wide receiver Bill Hammett's going to join us live in studio to talk about this special weekend for the Aztec football team. There's a golf tournament on Friday tomorrow for Aztec Link. And then, of course, we have the spring game on Saturday. Me and Jon will be broadcasting live from Snapdragon Stadium from 11 a.m., bringing you up to 1 p.m. when the start of the spring game happens. So that will be at 5 o'clock when Bill Hammett joins us live in studio there. But starting off today, Padres had the opportunity for the sweep. Did not happen. It's one of those games where, like, yeah, 4-2. If you told me on last Friday before the Dodgers series, Brent, hey, guess what? They're going to be 4-2. I'd be like, sign me the F up right now. But I always leave some space there to ask you, well, how did they get to 4-2? Did they have an opportunity for a sweep in there? Did they have a chance to have some comeback games to win? Like, how did they get to 4-2? Did they sweep a series and then lose 2 or 3 to another team? Like, how'd they get to 4-2? And with today's loss, it leaves that bitter taste in your mouth. It just makes you feel like they had an opportunity to come home with a fantastic road trip. It's still a very good road trip, but the opportunity for that fantastic road trip was there. And it's not like they lost 7-2 today. You know, it was a scoreless game in the 8th inning. Michael King was absolutely fantastic today, going, a no-hitter into the 8th inning. Having that being broke up on a bloop little single to right field, which sucks. If you're going to give up your first hit, you might as well have it be like a clean hit, not some like weird little driller down the line, fluky hit, off somebody's glove or whatever. It was a legitimate hit. He was amazing today. And I don't blame Wandy Peralta for giving up that hit, that RBI single in the 8th inning at all. I don't. This game today was solely on the offense. This was a 2023 special, 100%. This was a 2023 game. It was a loss from like last year's team would have. And it was frustrating because they did have opportunities. This game was very well pitched on both sides, but they had opportunities. In the 7th inning, earlier in the game, runners on third, less than 2 outs. and you have Michael King, you have your starter throwing a gem, throwing a no-hitter, and you can't, give him any run support. It just leaves that bitter taste in your mouth. You're not like, oh my God, the sky's falling after today's loss. But you are sitting there thinking to yourself, okay, let's not get back into this habit again, guys. Like we're going to have hiccups. They're going to have hiccups. We know that. I said as much earlier this week and last week while they were in the stretch of playing really good baseball. Last Tuesday night, they scored 2 runs coming off of their biggest comeback in like 3 years. So it happens. I get it. I think they scored 2 or 3 runs on Saturday night versus the Dodgers. This is their first shutout loss of the season. These are going to happen. You just got to make sure these don't turn into a trend where on Friday you all of a sudden score only 1 run, and then Saturday you score 2 runs, and then Sunday you only score 3. Like, you can't have this turn into a trend. You have to kind of just wash this away. Nice to have an off day tomorrow and get back at it on Friday. But overall, it just does feel a little bittersweet coming into today's game, having the opportunity to get your first sweep of the season, to have an opportunity to win 4 games in a row for the first time this year. I think last year they didn't win their first 4 games in a row until like July. It took forever for this team to do that. It took forever for this team to sweep a series. And you had an opportunity on April 17th and you didn't get the job done.
It's one of those things where, you might have wanted pizza for dinner, but instead you got cheeseburgers. Cheeseburgers are good. You like cheeseburgers.
Both are really good. I love pizza and cheeseburgers.
It's kind of goes back to, our joke from the 2023 season about how, they could go up against Sandy Koufax and they'd run him out of the game by the 4th. But if it's some no-name guy from AA that's making his first start, or it's a bullpen day, then they'll struggle and they won't get any runs and any hits. And guess what it was today for the Brewers?
It was a
bullpen day.
Yep.
And they struggled. I gotta give props to Don Mudd for calling the game with the no-hitter and dancing around not mentioning the no-hitter, but not making it annoying and obvious that they're not mentioning the no-hitter, if that makes any sense.
Are you one of those people that is superstitious about mentioning things and don't mention the no-hitter?
As soon as I mention it and it happens, then I'm like, "God, I'm so stupid."
Like, why did you say something?
Yeah. I don't like to press my luck. I'm not, but I don't want to push it.
I am definitely a little superstitious. You can work around it. Just don't say anything, because guess what's going to happen if you say something and the opposite happens? Like if I mentioned today on social media, oh, Michael King has no hitter.
Oh yeah, they'd kill you.
Then it just get destroyed. I don't want to deal with that. Like, okay, great. We all know it's happening. I don't have to tweet about he's pitching a no hitter. I might tweet something that would imply something cool is happening, but I'm not going to say Michael King is throwing a no hitter. Just not because I think it's a jinx. Well, I guess I'm a little superstitious, but I also don't want to just get these people on social media just ramming down my throat with "you're an idiot, you're an idiot, you're an idiot." I already get that enough. Okay. I don't want to get more. Like I people don't understand jokes, I guess. And
sarcasm.
And I put out something yesterday. I was like, well, Dylan Cease is the Padres ace. Now that wasn't a joke. That was serious. But then someone today, after Michael King's start, called me an idiot because I said Dylan Cease was the best pitcher on this Padres team so far. Okay. It's my bad. Sorry. But Michael King this season has been good. His 4 home runs that he gave up at first the Dodgers was not good overall. He's been decent. He's been fine. Today was obviously his best outing of his Padres career. I would argue, I didn't really watch him much in New York, but I would argue this is his best start of his entire career. Taking a no-hitter, double, into the 8th inning.
Well, especially for a guy, when we picked him up, the scouting report was that he didn't have a lot of innings on his belt, and they didn't know if he was going to be able to go very long in games. So that was an encouraging sign.
Very encouraging sign. It's just one of those outings where Michael King's going back in that dugout. Like, I literally just had the best game probably of my entire career, and I get the loss. Like, that's why wins and losses, I think, are very overrated and very stupid. They look great on the stat sheet. Like, hey, this guy's 15-2, but there could be guys that are 15-2 with a 4.9 ERA. And then there can be guys that are 9-15 with a 2.2 ERA. And you're like, wait a second here. Like, huh? The guy that has the most wins, but yet a super high ERA gets rewarded, but the guy that pitches really well isn't rewarded with wins, is only rewarded with losses. Like, that's why the wins and loss thing is stupid, because Michael King did not deserve the loss today. He did not. It was not him. If anything, there needs to be an extra column for the offense, because that was the reason why they lost this game today, was solely on the offense. And you're going to get games like this when you have this lineup, which has been performing really well. Jerkson Profar, Jackson Merrill, Luis Campusano, but he wasn't in the lineup today. You know, when you have those pieces in the lineup and you have Jerkson Profar hitting third, and we'll get into Xander Bogaerts here, you're going to have games like this. You can't always expect these guys to just go out and score 6-7 runs every game. It's nice. They've been doing it, so that's great. But they're eventually going to have games like this. And you are going to have to hope that these types of games don't turn into 2 games, don't turn into 3 of 4, don't turn into a week of this, because they've been known to have weak stretches where they just do not perform offensively. Last week offensively, great. Love to see that. That's exactly what you want to see from this team offensively. The prior week, it was like 2 runs here, 2 runs there, 3 runs, 2 runs, 2 runs. And it was very frustrating to watch. Today was up there with one of the most frustrating games of the season. But thankfully, you know, they come out of this road trip winning both series, and you can't really complain too much, because they accomplished what every team wants to accomplish when you go on the road. 1, have a winning road trip. 2, if you can, win as many series as possible. And that's what they did. So today's game, I'm hoping, and I think Padres fans are hoping too, that this is just in a vacuum, like it's in just a singular entity type of game. And they don't hope, and everyone's hoping that this isn't something that's going to carry on here. But it is a little like, looking at this lineup, it's not far off to think that it could turn into a stretch here where everybody's going to be pulling out their hair like they did today. Mike Shildt, after the game, spoke to the media, and here's Shilty's press conference. He also talked about Darvish at the end. We haven't even mentioned it yet, but Darvish going on the IL, that could be a problem. But here's Shilty talking about today's game, and the end of the presser, he talked about Darvish and his neck issue, which landed him on the IL today.
You talk about Michael's gym.
Oh, it's fantastic. Clearly in control the whole way, controlling counts, a lot of soft contact, everything working for him. Takes a no-hitter into the 7th. Sometimes no-hitters, they get broken up. There's a lot of mental energy that goes into it. And sometimes things can get a little, sideways from there. Didn't with Michael. Was able to finish the 7th. Knew he was going to be on a tight leash in the 8th relative to a couple of things, but he was working efficiently, so he knew he had some more rope. Getting into the 8th inning. Now he's getting over 100 pitches, which, again, we've rode with Cease last night to 110. He's in the 8th. Hoskins does a 6-pitch at bat on him and a 6-pitch at bat from Terang. And he started noticing, gosh, man, he was throwing the ball good, and but he was starting to get to that point. And, got the strikeout in Churio, and, clearly the decision we made, Wandy hadn't given up base hit to a right-handed hitter all year, and didn't work out.
The 8th inning, a rarity this year, where you guys had the chance to get the guy in. Was there?
Yeah. I mean, we get the leadoff triple from Matty Batten, and just couldn't do it. They got a good arm in the mound with their guy, and what a play he made on Toddy's ball. You got a big situation like in the game, tie ball game. You got a plus runner in Toddy, and he made a big time play to end the inning. So good baseball game all the way around.
Anything you could say about Darvish and his status?
Yeah, it's a upper neck issue, tightness. Just a matter of getting some rest, being able to take a little bit of a blow from it, and create some other opportunities.
Don't expect it to be long term.
I don't know.
Okay.
No.
So Darvish going on the IL today. The first thought is, because once this team starts experiencing some injuries to their top guys, there's not really much depth behind them. We knew that was going to be an issue for this team. If you had a Toddy or a Manny or a Bogey or a Kimmy or a Yui or a Joey or a Cece, right? If you had any of those guys go down with injury and they're put on the IL, Swarry, can't forget him. Can't forget Crone Zone.
Give Crone Zone some love right now.
Then it's going to be a problem. They traded Pedro Avila today to the Guardians. He would have been a candidate to be starting in place of Yu Darvish, but I as of right now, you're probably looking at bullpen days while Darvish is out. Hopefully, it's just a one start miss, and it would be understandable and it'd be okay. But if it turns into 2 or 3 and the neck becomes a real big issue, and then if he returns and he's still dealing with these issues and he's not pitching well because his last outing was not good, then we're going to have some problems. And to say that this pitching staff is, vitally important to this team is an understatement. Having these guys stay healthy for the season is like everything. It is. You start experiencing injuries like you did last year in your rotation, and then you're going to have some problems, especially with Joe not pitching well right now and Darvish on the IL. You're relying on the Waldrons of the world to continue to pitch like he's been pitching, which has been great. He's been pitching great, but that's a lot of pressure to put on, number 5 starter here. Because if he goes out and has a bad outing, it's bound to happen. So keep an eye on that. Yu Darvish on the IL. Hopefully it's for just a couple starts or just one at the least, the minimum. And then you move on and he gets back and he's pitching well for the Padres again. But, I wanted to come in here today and man, they had such a golden opportunity. It would have been such a boost. And it probably is fine because you get a winning road trip, but it's how they lost today that you're just like, ugh. Makes you want to bang your head against a wall because of some of the the situations in the game that we saw way too many times last year. Way too many times. And they've done a good job the last week kind of distancing themselves from, what they were last year and creating a new identity of what hopefully this team is this year, which is they don't give up. They're in every game. They're going to have a bunch of comeback victories. They score a bunch of runs. They have big innings. But didn't happen today. Hopefully it's a one-off. It's going to happen again this season. I guarantee it. You're going to have a handful of more outings where they score 1 run, maybe even 0 runs. Hopefully that's, not a lot, but it's going to happen again. You just hope that, okay, one-off. The great thing about today was Michael King looked fantastic. Carry that into next start. Carry that into, the rest of his season, hopefully, and you just move on. But there is one part about today's game that has been lingering. And we talked about it a little bit on the Fusion. We need to have an adult conversation about Xander Bogaerts. It's time. Xander Bogaerts. We'll talk about him coming up next. This update is brought to you by Staples Stores. Padres could not complete the sweep of the Brewers today as they lost 1-0. Even though Michael King took a no-hitter into the 8th inning, they finish up their 6-game road trip 4-2. They have an off day tomorrow, and then they'll be home on Friday to take on the Toronto Blue Jays. Other news with the Padres today, they sent Yu Darvish to the 15-day IL with neck pain. In the NBA play-in tournament last night, Lakers beat the Pelicans. They are now the 7th seed. They will take on the Denver Nuggets in round 1. And the Kings beat the Warriors. They'll play the Pelicans for the right for the 8th seed this Friday. Staples can print anything you need to move your business forward, like banners, flyers, signs, and catalogs, some even on the same day. And now at Staples, save $50 on your print purchase of $150 or more. Offer ends 6/1. Visit staples.com/print for details. Staples, your local print and marketing expert. Jim coming up later in the show. Eric Hosmer was on with the show on Rock 105.3 this morning, and some interesting comments that he had about the Padres franchise in a whole. And you're going to hear from Eric, and it's very, very easy to read between the lines with him. It's like he's telling you without really telling you how he truly feels.
It's very passive aggressive.
Very passive aggressive. And the only reason why we're bringing this back is because he was on with the show, in the building. So you'll hear from Eric Hosmer later in the show. The Warriors dynasty is over. Brent, you're just gonna have to indulge me for a bit here. Next segment.
Oh, that's fine. This is Warriors talk I'm into.
Yeah,
their dynasty being over. It's about damn time.
Just indulge me in talking about one of the greatest dynasties in the history of the Professional Basketball Association.
Kick rocks, Draymond.
But Xander Bogaerts, I'm not the guy that's going to sit here and say he needs to be benched, he needs to be cut, they need to trade him, because it's physically impossible to trade a guy making as much money as him. You can't bench him because you have nobody behind him, and it's a situation where you're pretty much stuck. You're pretty much stuck with him. Now, you might come at me and say, well, Jim, look at his numbers last year. They were really good. I watched every single game of Xander Bogaerts last year with the Padres. He was not good last year. He wasn't. He got super nuclear red hot in September when this team was donezo. There was no performance in September with any player last season that I took seriously at all. And no one should take seriously, including Xander's. He finished the year with some nice overall numbers in 285, right? He had a 790 OPS, 19 home runs, played 155 games last year for the Padres. But there's no way that anybody could tell me that Xander had a good year last year. No shot. You must be watching a different sport. And then now we get into this year. Started out great. He's doing the leadership thing, moving to second base. I think everybody is on board with that. There's nothing that anybody's going to be complaining about with him moving positions. He hasn't looked overmatched there. He doesn't look like he doesn't belong. He's been fine at second base. I think he made maybe one error that cost his team a run and maybe eventually cost his team a game. But overall, he's been fine at second base. There's nothing about what he's doing defensively that's a problem. It's
He could
serviceable.
he could turn double plays faster. I think
he can.
That's my gripe.
Maybe he can turn a double play faster.
He's
Okay,
new at second. Maybe he's getting used to it still, but it seems like he turns the slowest double plays ever.
it's not about the defense. It's about this offense. And when you have him leading off for you, you need to get more production than what you're getting right now. And the conversation will never change because of how much money he makes. We will always be talking about the performance of Xander Bogaerts. If Xander Bogaerts was making as much as Tyler Wadey, we're not talking about Xander Bogaerts. We're not having, entire segments dedicated to Xander Bogaerts if he's making as much money as Wadey. Like, we're not sitting here talking about Tyler Wade. Okay, even though Tyler Wade's having at the plate this year, what is he hitting? He's hitting 214 for this team with an OPS 536. Is that good? No, it's not. It's awful. But Xander's worse. And he's your leadoff hitter. He's hitting 200 with the 536 OPS. I think that's the same as Wadey. Yes, the same OPS as Tyler Wade. And he's your leadoff hitter. It's time to move Xander Bogaerts off the leadoff spot. And you might say, well, Jim, who are you going to put there? What about Jackson Merrill? Nope. It's Ha-Seong Kim. I put Ha-Seong Kim in the leadoff spot. It's like damned if you do, damned if you don't, because when you move Xander Bogaerts down the lineup, you're just moving a problem to you're not like fixing a problem, you're just moving a problem to another spot. It's like rearranging chairs on the Titanic. It's sinking still. Doesn't matter. But I look at what Kim did last year in the leadoff spot for this team. That's when he took off like a rocket. He's playing well of late. I move him to leadoff spot. Now the question, comes: where are you going to put Xander in the lineup? Well, if Xander has any gripes about where he's hitting, he has no room to really talk at all. I'm sorry, when you're hitting 200 with a 536 OPS and you're making $280 million, I'm sorry, you don't have really much room to talk. I know Schulte's going to continue to stand by his guys and stand by Xander Bogaerts because I do think he's a good clubhouse guy. I do think he is a guy that is very intelligent. I think that when he speaks, you listen to him, but it's about performance. If a guy is going to be the greatest clubhouse guy on the planet, like Jerkson Profar, but hit 200, performance outweighs everything. And for me, I would put Kimmy at the top of the lineup. Ha-Seong Kim hit leadoff. Tatis hitting second. Cronenworth, which looks like, by the way, he's going to be returning on Friday, which is a good news. That came out in Kevin Acey's article today. He's hoping to play on Friday. I go Kim, Toddy, Cronezone, Manny. Right now, because he's producing Profar, I go Campy. Then I go Xander. Then I go, I guess, Wadey or Eggy, or Jackson Merrill, and then hitting ninth, Eggy or Wadey. I'm moving Xander down to seventh. I'm sorry. It's what other options do you have? Continue to put him out in leadoff spot and he's not producing for you. It's like, okay, you're just going to wait until he turns it around, or are you going to have some action here? Maybe that moving him down the lineup will get him to produce more. If he's not producing right now with Fernando Tatis Jr. hitting behind him, it's not going to really matter where he hits.
Yeah, that's just what my point was going to be, was not only Tatis batting behind him, but he's got a red hot Jackson Merrill batting in front of him. So it's not like he's not getting pitches to hit, but it's like Darren said in the Fusion, his ball to bat, like, contact ratio is just horrible. So despite the fact that he's getting pitches to hit, he's not doing anything with it. And it's one of those things where you're just like, well, why is that? And there's no real answer.
So I'm looking at his baseball savant page right now, and his hard hit percentage is like the worst in all of baseball.
Yeah.
7%.
Yeah, see, it's one thing if you're struggling, but you're making good contact with the ball. It's just you're hitting a bunch of atom balls or something
baseball.
Like that. Yeah,
that's baseball.
That's fine. But when you're, practically some of these are put on a tee for him, and it's like, oh, pop up to second, ground ball to second.
The ball coming off of his bat, the average exit velocity, Brent, it's really bad. I don't think this is a percentage. It says 8. That's not good. The average, it says right here, is 84. So he is, again, one of the worst in baseball at hard hit percentage and exit velocity off the bat. He's not hitting the ball hard. He's not getting the sweet spot. He can't barrel the ball. His chase rate is way up there. His whiff rate is way up there. His K percentage is way up there. Shut up, nerd. I know. But these numbers, you watch Xander and these numbers make sense because you're saying, okay, well, no wonder. I mean, he has what, 1 home run on the year? He's slugging 263 in the season, and he's not getting on base. If you're a leadoff guy, I would hope if his on base percentage was like 350 and he was slugging 263 and he still had a bad OPS and he still was hitting around 200,
stealing some bases when he got on there.
I might say, okay, well, at least he's getting on base because that's the job of leadoff hitter, getting on base to get the opportunities for your, guys behind you to drive you in. But he's not even doing that. And that is a problem. So I'm not sitting here saying he needs to be benched. I'm not even having a discussion about it's time to trade Xander because it's not even a discussion worth having because there's 0% of chance of that. You're not going to cut him. You have nobody behind him. He's your best option for second base. I'm just talking about it's time to move him off the leadoff spot or at least discuss it. And we'll see what they do on Friday. If the next 2 weeks you continue to see Xander hitting leadoff and he doesn't improve and he still is doing what he's doing right now with, no barrels, he's not hitting the ball hard, he's not getting on base, he's not sweet spotting the ball, then I don't know what Schulte, it's time to move off of Xander of the leadoff spot. And I'm sorry, if he doesn't want to hit 7th, too effing bad. Your play determines where you are going to hit in the lineup. Pretty simple. Dave, I see you on hold. I'll get to your call after this. Also, yeah, the Warriors dynasty is over. I'm going to need a moment to discuss it, to go through it, because it's still kind of hard to process, but I'll talk about that next. We'll get to your phone calls. 877-767-4760. 877-767-4760. Where do you want Xander to hit in the lineup? Do you continue to want to see him hit leadoff, or do you think it's time to move Xander Bogaerts down in the lineup? You can also text me 70470. We'll continue that discussion coming up next. All right, 707, start your 70470, start your message with team. Where do you want Xander to bat in the lineup? Do you continue to want to see him bat leadoff, or is it time to move him down? We'll get to your text coming up next. All right, back on Jon and Jim. Still to come, Eric Hosmer's comments to the show. We're on Rock 105.3 this morning. Very interesting comments, to say the least. The Warriors dynasty is over. I am sitting here admitting it.
Yay! I mean,
I'm admitting it. It's over. I will indulge on their dynasty here in a moment. But first, let's get to Dave on line 4. Dave, did you hear the news about the TV deal?
Yes, I did, and not surprising. But look, I'm Davey. I'm not Dave anymore. And you're Jimmy.
Davey,
and I got Brenty.
Davey, Jimmy, Brenty. Yes.
Yeah, Brenty's doing a hell of a job.
but then you got to hang out with
the
a big dog
and backing up Jimmy.
Yes, we're all getting backed up by one another. So appreciate it. What's going on, Dave?
There you go. All right, well, listen, you're right on target with Xander Bogaerts. The numbers are the numbers. Definitely got to go to 7. Now, here's the thing. This guy is basically in a trend now that's definite. We're not in the initial phase of the trade last year. The excuses are over. Injuries are past. This is who he is. This is what he is at this point in time. You're spot on. Now, here's the rhetorical question, Dave, I'll leave you guys with. You've got Brandon Belty out there, a lifetime 261. We've talked about this before. Lifetime 261, 20 points higher than Kimmy, 20 points higher than Profari. Now, obviously, Profari's had a great start, but who are you going to put at DH when Manny comes back over at third base? You talk about a paper thin team here already in the lineup, not to mention the pitching.
Mm-hmm.
And Belty's sitting there, and I don't understand this. Why he's still sitting there and not on this team? That's the rhetorical question.
All right, thanks for the call, Dave. Appreciate it. Probably because he's old. I mean, I understand the career numbers, but he's well past his prime. If they sign Brandon Belt, Are you going to make him your DH? Like, you have really no place for him right now on this roster. Cronzone's not going to be missing much time. He'll be back at first base here soon. Manny's your DH. He has that spot locked down until he goes back on the field. Nobody is taking that spot away from him unless you at rest day. But why would you get a rest day? You're not playing in the field. It's like you're just your DH. There's really no spot for Brandon Belt on this team at all. I don't see it. Unless they did something crazy drastic, which they're not going to do, is they signed Brandon Belt, made him your first baseman, moved Cronzone back to second base, but you're not doing it. So I understand where you're going, and I do agree from the sentiment of they at least need another bat. They do. Everybody's been talking about that, regardless of them scoring a bunch of runs offensively, which they have, right? You know, they still need another bat. They just do. And we'll see if they go out and get it. If they're in contention and it comes to the trade deadline, they're going to get another bat. They just are. You know, Preller will do it. He'll try. But they got to get there first. Okay, so yeah, the Warriors dynasty is over. Here's the thing. When you look at the last decade in the NBA, yes, LeBron is the best player of his generation, but Steph and the Warriors are easily the team that everybody wanted to watch. They created the most revenue. They're the most watched team in the sport. They are value. Their team value, Brent, is more than the Lakers and the Knicks. That's because of not only Steph, but because of how many years they were in the finals for the Kevin Durant era, for Steph Curry changing the game with shooting threes. Just, you know, the whole Draymond drama, his podcast. Like, the Warriors were a 10-year dynasty. There's not many 10-year dynasties in the NBA or in any sport. NBA is really the only sport that you can get true dynasties of 10 plus years. But you look at it, and I saw a graphic last night, and it was saying the top 5 greatest dynasties in the history of the NBA. And I 100% agree with this list. Number 5 is the Kobe Shaq Lakers dynasty from the early 2000s. It didn't last long. It was only 3 or 4 years. And they lost in the finals to Detroit, and Shaq and Kobe couldn't get along. After that ends, boom, they're done. At number 4 was the Warriors dynasty with Steph, Draymond, and Clay. Number 3, I believe you had who was it? Oh, it was the Magic and Kareem Lakers. Number 2 was the Jordan Bulls. Number 1
Celtics.
was the Celtics with Bill Russell.
That makes sense.
Hey, in this era, if you're the 4th best dynasty in the history of the sport, that's an accomplishment. Now, I know people like Brent are happy that it's over, but now that it is kind of over, Steph will still be playing, Draymond will still be playing. I don't think they're going to re-sign Clay. But now that it feels like it's over, you know, you might not like it, but you got to respect it. You got to at least respect what they did for not only the sport, but they created just a generation of new basketball fans that want to play like Steph Curry. That
They want to do nothing but shoot half.
they want to shoot half court shots, right? And in today's age of the NBA, where everyone wants to team up, everyone wants to get traded to a certain team and sign with their best buddies, and the team up culture in the NBA. And I understand the Warriors had that too with Kevin Durant, but the The Warriors, and I see that text. No, sorry, Darren. The Warriors, what Steph, Clay, and Draymond did, being drafted by the one team. You're not going to see that really again. I don't think I just don't think you are. Darren's texting me the Spurs are greater than the Warriors dynasty. Okay, well, maybe you could argue that for sure. I'm not disagreeing with you, but they are the dynasty that everyone forgets about. The Warriors aren't going to be the dynasty that everyone forgets about. They're going to be the dynasty that everyone remembers because of the craziness, the twists and turns that went into their run starting in 2015 or 2014, excuse me. Winning that first finals versus the Cavs and LeBron, and then winning 73 games, then the KD era, and then the return, and then having the worst record in the league, and then going back to the finals, Steph's game 4 in Boston, to now with Draymond literally fighting everybody possible to get suspended. And this dynasty is something that it's going to be hard to envision seeing something like this in the near future. We probably will see it again, but in the near future, I don't know if we're going to see something like this. So hats off to, in my opinion, one of the greatest dynasties in NBA history. All right, coming up next, the wrap. Also, Eric Hosmer spoke today to a San Diego show in the building. We'll hear from Eric Hosmer coming up next. This update's brought to you by Staples Stores. Padres, they could not complete the sweep today of the Brewers as they lost 1-0. Michael King took a no-hitter into the 7th inning. Pitched great, but got the loss on the day. Padres will have an off day tomorrow before they start a 3-game road trip at Petco Park versus the Toronto Blue Jays. Other news with the Padres today, Yu Darvish was sent to the 15-day IL with neck pain. In the NBA in-season tournament, last night was the Western Conference turn. The Lakers beat the Pelicans. They're moving on. They'll be the 7th seed. Pelicans will face the Kings after the Kings beat the Warriors for the right to be the 8th seed and take on the Oklahoma City Thunder in the Western Conference playoffs. Eastern Conference play-in tournament starts today with the Philadelphia 76ers taking on the Miami Heat, and then the Chicago Bulls taking on the Atlanta Hawks. Staples can print anything you need to move your businesses forward, like banners, flyers, signs, and catalogs, some even on the same day. And now at Staples, save $50 on your print purchase of $150 or more. Offer ends 6/1. Visit staples.com/print for details. Staples, your local print and marketing expert. All right, hour 2 of Jon and Jim on a Wednesday. Coming up later this hour, you'll hear from Eric Hosmer talking to the show here on Rock 105.3. Also, Team Jon versus Team Jim, except it's just Team Jim versus Team Jim today. Trainwreck Radio 445. We have a really, really good prize today, Brent. Really, really good prize. This came down just before the show. We have 2 separate pairs of tickets to Wonderfront. 2. So we'll be giving away one during Trainwreck Radio, and then we'll be giving away another one during the 5 o'clock hour. Sound good, Brent?
Yes. And we also have AJR tickets too.
We also have AJR tickets. So we'll probably give away AJR tickets and a pair of Wonderfront tickets in the 5 o'clock hour. And then at 4:45 during Trainwreck Radio, a pair of Wonderfront tickets, Music and Art Festival. We'll give those away during Trainwreck Radio. So make sure to stay listening for your chance to win. These tickets are really hard to get, and they're a really good ticket because Wonderfront from May 10th to May 12th is fantastic. Some of the artists there are, The Roots, you have Steel Pulse, you have, who else do you have here? Marcus King, Mount Joy, you have Beck. It's fantastic event. So make sure to stay listening for your chance to win there. We'll give those away during Trainwreck Radio. All right. Brent, let's get to it.
Will Steph Curry ever win another NBA title?
Well, with the construction of this roster, how it currently is, if they bring Clay back, no. They would need to make some big time changes. I'm not going to say he'll never win a title because it depends on what they do with the rest of that roster. Because he can still lead a team. He just needs to have a better supporting cast around him that isn't all old aging guys like Chris Paul and Klay Thompson that can actually make a shot and create their own shot. Because right now they have nobody on the team besides Steph that can do that.
See, here's the thing. I didn't ask if he'll ever win one with the Warriors.
I know.
He'll win one, but not with the Warriors.
Well,
he's a good enough player that he'll get traded to some other contender later in his career.
See, I truly think that Joe Lacob, the owner of the Warriors, no matter what, will never trade Steph. Steph is the most iconic player in the franchise history. He's a Hall of Famer. He's one of the most popular players in the NBA. He's still a guy that can put up big time numbers. He's not showing decline like Klay Thompson was last night. Klay Thompson, it's to have the worst game of your career be your last game with the Warriors. That's a pretty brutal, bitter end.
And he's an 0 for 10.
0 for 10. I think he went 0 for 8 from 3. He was god awful.
Well, they said it's the first time in his whole career that for the amount of minutes he played that he didn't score at least 12 points.
Yeah. At least he didn't score maybe a point.
A point if you played 12 minutes, something like that.
Because he got thrown out of a game one time. He obviously went scoreless there, but I mean, you're right, Brent. I selfishly, I'm like, I pray that he never gets traded because he's one of my favorite athletes to watch in any sport.
I just think if it's one of those scenarios where 3-4 years down the line, where if
The team sucks and he's the only good
and
player,
they're rebuilding and
Yeah.
they can get a haul for the team's future, I think he would understand. And I think they'd trade him just for the betterment of the team's future.
maybe like a Dame Lillard situation.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't want to go there. It depends on what they do this offseason. It's a big offseason for the Warriors, for sure. All right, next question, Brent.
How much of a chance do you give the Lakers to beat the defending champ Nuggets?
I give them a chance. Talking with John Ireland the other day, he made a really compelling argument why it's not this crazy Herculean thing that they have to overcome by facing the Nuggets. LeBron is playing at a very high level. Anthony Davis is playing at a very high level. The Nuggets, while are still a really good team, I don't think they're like unbeatable. I know Joker is a walking triple-double, 30, 20, and 10, but you're going to need Anthony Davis to be an all NBA pro player in this series if they want to win. And I think he has the chance to do it. So I'm not saying it's like out of the realm of possibility to think they can do it, but I would give them a good chance for sure.
I think all of Laker Nation gasped when LeBron took that charge from Zion last night and was holding his wrist.
And then Zion, well, yeah. Here's the thing about LeBron. What's the most impressive thing about LeBron to me is, I mean, you could say it's his scoring, right? He has 40,000 career points. Like, that's crazy impressive. How many straight finals he went to? 10 straight, right? Living up to the hype, that's also very impressive. But something that nobody really talks about is he has never had a major injury, like ever. He's missed some games because of like a foot issue or like maybe an ankle issue, but he's never had a broken bone. He's never had like a torn whatever. He's never had, pulling of like a hamstring. Like he's never had a major injury in his career.
I think the only one I can think of off the top of my head was he had a groin issue that one year going into the playoffs where he didn't play for like the last month and he just thought they were going to turn it on. Remember, he's just going to go into playoff LeBron mode.
Well, didn't he go into playoff LeBron mode?
No.
What year was that? Was it the Lakers year? Or was
it was, would have been pre-pandemic or the year after. It wasn't the pandemic year when they had 2 months to rest in between games.
Well, anyway, hamstring. Okay. But he's never had like a torn whatever or a broken anything. So that's a testament to him. I give the Lakers a good chance. Not like the best chance. I still think the Nuggets are going to win, but I'll give them a little chance. Brent, next question.
Who should start in place of Yu Darvish while he's on the IL?
I would go bullpen day. I know a lot of people will probably like cringe and they don't want to see this happen, but you have Johnny Brito, who they were trying to make into a starter in spring training. I think starting for him might work better. It's going to have to happen. And hopefully it's only like a one-time thing, maybe a two-time thing, and it doesn't turn anything more than that. But right now, I would bet on Johnny Brito getting a start here while Yu Darvish is on the IL. I would say Johnny Brito. And everybody's just going to have to deal with it, all right? Deal with it. Brett, next question.
Should the Padres consider benching Xander Bogaerts?
No, they should not consider benching Xander Bogaerts because there's nobody behind Xander Bogaerts to play in his position. They don't have like this, hot shot rookie on the bench that needs to get in there to play second base. They don't have anybody behind them. Now you could make maybe a tiny argument if they brought up Donovan Solano. But even then, you would open up such a like Pandora's box that you just don't want to open if you ended up benching Xander. And it's 20 games in. he still can have a good season. I'm not saying he's not going to have a good season. My only discussion with Xander today is not about benching him at all. It's about moving him off the leadoff spot just until he can start swinging the bat better. That's it. That's it. The benching discussion, it's, I think, kind of foolish to have right now. You would have that discussion in like maybe 2 years when the contract's going to look even worse and maybe his mobility's not as good. And if he's still performing like this and producing like this, you have ample time to get a replacement and you can move off of Xander, or at least try to move off of Xander. But as of right now, like, no chance are they going to be benching him. No chance. Now, Donovan Solano, who I would think maybe he's going to be brought up here pretty soon. Who knows? But if he is brought up, that's going to be the easy, like, backup quarterback discussion. If Xander continues to struggle, like, just puts, Donovan Solano in there. But you're not benching a guy that's making $280 million. You're just not happening. Moving him down in the lineup is a real discussion that needs to be had. I'm sorry. Feelings be damned. If you're not producing, maybe try hitting it in the seventh hole. You have players on this team that can hit in the leadoff spot. Toddy, Kimmy, those are two guys that come to the top of my mind right away that I could see easily being a way better fit in the leadoff spot. So that's not a discussion that I think is going to be had as far as benching, but I think a discussion that will need to be had if he continues to struggle. Like if this weekend he puts up a bunch of offers, right? Maybe he has a couple singles here and there, but they're not like very impactful singles. They're kind of just like those little bloop hits or little dribblers to the left side. Then by next week, then I think the conversation needs to be had with Schulte and, Preller.
Well, he took the move to second pretty well. Do you think he's going to take getting moved down to the bottom of the batting order? Not literally to the bottom, but to the bottom half of the batting order. You think he's going to take that well as 2, or you think he's going to throw a fit?
Well, I would hope.
I would hope that he would just get it and just realize, look, I'm not producing, so
he's not producing.
Course I'm going to get moved down the order.
Hey, you got to do what's best for your team to win. And if you continue to hit him in the leadoff spot and he continues to put up bad performance after bad performance offensively and watch 2-0 fastballs go right down the middle of the plate with a runner on third base, like, yeah, he doesn't have much room to talk. He doesn't have much room to make a case to why he should be staying at the top of the lineup. So just to be clear, I don't think the conversation about Xander Bogaerts being benched should be a conversation at all. It's anybody having that conversation is having the wrong one. The real conversation is, where is he going to be moved in this lineup? Because leadoff right now is not working. It's just not. I mean, if you continue to want to put him out there in leadoff spot and try to have him work through these struggles, okay, and the team's scoring runs, so maybe you can make that argument like, well, we're winning games, we're scoring runs, so what's the big deal? But at some point, you can't have your leadoff hitter hitting 200 with a sub 300 on base and a 536 OPS and be literally, this is like the numbers show it, the worst contact hitter as far as barrels and exit velocity goes in all of baseball. So we'll see. But I hope that Xander turns out to have a better season. Maybe he needs another cortisone shot, Brent. Maybe he needs another something in his wrist. Because if you look at his season last year, Brent,
it's better after the shot.
He had the same May, like his April and March last year was actually pretty damn good. It was actually really good. He hit 308 with a 914 OPS. You're like, with 6 home runs. Fantastic. Awesome. Great. But then in May, June, he kind of just fell off a cliff. Was it a wrist issue? I don't know. But there was the conversations last year about his wrists. And then he got the cortisone shot. And in September, he hit 418 with a 1100 OPS. To me, it's a lot of meaningless, padding stats. But those are off of real major league pitchers, so hopefully I was kind of hoping that he was going to take that September with whatever he did for his wrists or whatever. And he would apply it and it would be something this year where you have a big bounce back year from Xander. Still could happen. Absolutely still could happen. It's just the first month of the year. But as of right now, moving him off the leadoff spot needs to be a real discussion. For sure. Did you see this gambling story today, Brent?
Oh, yeah.
This is crazy. So, hold on, let me pull this up right here.
Jonte Porter.
Jonte Porter. I don't know why I said Jonte Murray. Jonte Porter.
He's a better player, so your mind automatically wants to say that.
It did, yeah, because I don't have it exactly in front of me here. But he got banned for life by the NBA for gambling. And you got to be the biggest idiot of all time for what he did. So his contract, he was making about $2.3 million. Okay. The amount of money that he won off of gambling, do you know how much he won off gambling?
No.
So he won a total of $21,000. He gambled away his entire career for 21 grand when he was playing in the NBA with a contract that paid him over $2 million per year.
What an idiot. He should have blamed it on his interpreter.
Right. You need to have an interpreter, bro. I just sat there and was reading the story like, wait, he did what? So here's some details. The NBA announced investigation found Porter disclosed confidential information to sports bettors, limiting his own participation in one or more games for betting purposes. He also bet on NBA games from January to March. Porter also placed 13 bets on NBA games using an associate's account. The investigation also found that prior to a March 20th game, Porter disclosed confidential information about his own health to an NBA bettor. Another person connected to Porter placed an $80,000 parlay to win $1.1 million, wagering Porter would underperform. That bet ultimately was frozen. This guy bet anywhere from $10 to a couple thousand. The investigation showed on the 13 NBA bets that Porter made, the total payout for those bets was $76,000. It resulted in a net winnings of 21 grand. 3 of the bets were multi-game parlay bets that included one Raptors game in which Porter bet that the Raptors would lose. So he gambled to win 20 grand to be banned for life and lose out on an NBA contract that paid him over $2 million. Talk about all-time idiot moves of the century. What? I mean, if you're going to be betting, dude, at least be betting to make big time money. Like if it said he won, $20 million or something. I'm just going something crazy.
If you're going to throw your career away, you should make it worth it.
Make it worth it. Not for an extra 20 grand. What are we doing? But anyway, yeah, he's banned for life. So good job, buddy. You ruined your career for a couple parlay bets for NBA games that would have paid you 20 grand. Crazy story. Absolutely crazy. Coming up next, Eric Hosmer spoke today to the show on Rock 105.3. We're going to hear from Eric Hosmer, and it's interesting comments about AJ Preller. You won't want to miss that coming up next. All right, coming up next, interesting comments from Eric Hosmer on a San Diego show this morning. You'll hear those coming up next. This update is brought to you by Staples Stores. Padres lost to the Brewers today, 1-0. Michael King pitched a great game today, taking a no-hitter into the 7th inning, but they got the loss. They lost 1-0. They did not get the sweep. They had a 4-2 road trip. They have an off day tomorrow before they return home to take on the Blue Jays for a 3-game series over the weekend. Other news with the Padres today, they sent Yu Darvish to the IL with neck pain. In the NBA the NBA play-in tournament, not the in-season tournament, the play-in tournament, Western Conference was last night. Lakers, they beat the Pelicans. They're moving on as the 7th seed to take on the Nuggets. Pelicans will take on the Kings as the Kings beat the Warriors last night for the right for the 8th seed to take on the Oklahoma City Thunder. And right now, the play-in tournament for the Eastern Conference as the Sixers are taking on the Miami Heat right now. Sixers currently lead that game 12-6 in the first quarter.
Look up.
13-6 in the first quarter. I was looking on my phone. Next game will be the Atlanta Hawks versus the Chicago Bulls. Staples can print anything you need to move your businesses forward, like banners, flyers, signs, and catalogs, even on the same day. And now at Staples, save $50 on your print purchases of $150 or more. Offer ends 6/1. Visit staples.com/print for details. Staples, your local print and marketing expert. On his Twitter page, which I'm blocked on, he was talking about,
But yeah, you still see always know what's on it.
bro, I have my account, I have Jon Jim account, and I have the San Diego Sports 760 account. So I have multiple accounts I can look on. And no, I don't have any burner accounts, even though some people, Darren, thinks that I have, and Marty, think that I have like 6 burner accounts out there. I don't. I promise. I have
Kevin Durant.
I don't. I am not a Kevin Durant. I swear. I have one X account. That's it. But Eric Hosmer now in his media venture with his new podcast that I didn't even know was a thing. He mentioned in a post that Jace Tingler was a bad manager. He was just like, Jace Tingler sucked. With like someone asked him a question about Jace Tingler, like, oh, so when you were here, was the manager was the problem? And he said an emoji like shaking head, yes. Well, as I was talking about Eric Hosmer yesterday, I get a text from our buddy Eddie Papani, who is on the show in the mornings, 6 to 10 a.m. on Rock 105.3. I'm looking right at their studio right now, across the hall. And he texts me, he's like, hey, bro, we're actually having Eric Hosmer on our show tomorrow. And I go, what? Excuse me? You're having like that Eric Hosmer? You're having that Eric Hosmer on your show in San Diego?
That's actually Eric with a K.
So, of course, I was like, please send me the audio once you interview him. And he did. So shout out to Eddie, Thor, Emily, and Sky for sending us the audio. And I listened to the interview and I was kind of like cringing because, well, let's just play it. So here was Eric Hosmer on his exit from San Diego.
I don't think there's hard feelings. I think anywhere you go, there's going to be, fans that like you and fans that don't like you. But at the end of the day, I understood. I went there. I signed for a lot of money. I didn't perform the way that I wanted to perform in certain years on the field, and I completely understand that. And I'm open to talking about that. But there were certain things that were said that disappointed me of who I was in the locker room and who I was towards my teammates. And I just felt like that wasn't true. And, that was something that really did disappoint me. But this is something cool with the media side and with the Digging Deep side that, I don't have to be guarded in sharing those stories anymore. I can go out and lay it all on there and say, what happened from my perspective. And I get to really hone in on a lot of opportunities like that because, when I did get traded over to Boston, kind of went silent, finished the year out there, had a baby in the off season. So never really had a platform or an opportunity to really share my side of the story. And I think this media world now, or this new career that I'm pursuing in the media space, is going to allow me to do that, not only for myself, but for other players as well.
Okay, so what I get from that is I'm expecting a completely unfiltered Eric Hosmer, no hold bars. Hey, you said that you have now this opportunity to tell your side of the story. Then I want to hear what happened, unfiltered. Well, I don't think the rest of his answers here were very unfiltered. They were leading down the path of unfiltered. You can easily read between the lines, but I mean, did you get the sense? And we'll hear from Eric in a second here, but
there was a lot of it, and you'll probably hear it once I mention it this way. There's a lot of when someone sells a book, like if I was selling a Jon Jim tell-all book, be like, oh,
that sounds like a good book.
You wouldn't believe all the, behind the scenes dirt and stuff that went on behind the show. And then they're like, oh, but you got to buy the book though to get the stories.
Right.
It's like, I'm just going to allude to all the stuff that I know and all these things I'm going to tell everybody, but I'm not going to tell anybody today. You got to tune into the podcast to hear all the dirt.
So Eddie asked a great question. Like, okay, well, if this is now where you're saying you can tell your side of the story, and you were mentioning about clubhouse rumors, tell us about those clubhouse rumors. Were they so bad?
This is him on the clubhouse last year.
I felt like, yeah, I was that guy in 2022 where it was really easy to put blame on, and I accept that. That's fine. Someone's got to be that guy. But I think the next year when learning about, people thought Manny was that guy at some point in time that was the reason of them not making the playoffs. To me, that also motivated me to really do something like this because, I got to live it firsthand for a couple of years out there, especially with Manny. And I know that's the furthest thing from the truth. So it really did motivate me to come on here and share some insight to the fans on what's going on. Because, the old traditional way that baseball is still stuck in my opinion, is there's people in the front office that have their connections through the media and they tell their side of the story. And that's the side of the story that gets put out there to the fans. And no one's really, holding these people in the front office or the management accountable. It's just all kind of falling on the players, which I get a lot of it has to fall on the players. But at the same time, the stories that are being told and the stuff that's being said just isn't true at the end of the day. So I think that's where I'm going to have a lot of fun and I'm going to enjoy being on the players' side and being able to stick up for some of those guys.
What are you laughing about, Brent?
That's kind of what I'm talking about.
Right.
It's like he's alluding at more stories, but you'll
What
look forward
happened?
to hearing them later.
He is a guy to me that just can't accept that his time here in San Diego will, as of right now, and Xander's, maybe will be there soon. I don't know. Too early to tell. But that's the worst contract in the history of the Padres franchise. Yes, that is on Preller. That's on, whoever signed off for that contract. I get that. And that's what he's kind of alluding to. But dude, you didn't perform at all here. At all. There was not, there was a little like moments here and there, but overall, you just did not perform. You were completely unwilling to change any part of your game because you thought that you got this big $140 million contract that why should I change? There's many quotes from you saying those exact words. And he's talking about the front office, and he was asked about, let's just jump down to, let's play the Hosmer on the Padres managers and GM interference. This was alluding to 2021 and our good old buddy Jace Tingler and how that clubhouse said, yeah, no, this guy ain't it. And then kind of revolted. And then it turned into a Preller and Tingler versus the entire clubhouse.
I think the main thing at the end of the day, I think there's a big issue in the game right now with a lot of general managers really want to control what's happening in the clubhouse. They want to make managerial moves for the team. And
who's he talking about?
A lot of managers out there that have been there and done that, and they're not going to allow that to happen. So, I think when you have a manager that comes in with not that much of a resume, not much experience, then I believe, there's a little more control up top of what's being had, and the manager really can't do anything about it because he's kind of selling his soul to be in that position, to be able to, leap jump some of these other positions to finally get to a manager job. And I don't think that works out well. I don't think that's a good formula. I think, Bob, at the end of the day, I think there was some frustration there because he wanted to manage the team, how he knows to manage the team. He's been successful for a lot of years. And Bob's a guy that's always going to try and make it work with whoever he's working for or working with. So ultimately, I don't think that worked out. But I think now they got a guy in Mike Schilt that he believes in how he manages, and he's not going to listen to someone try and really persuade his decisions one way or another. He has a lot of conviction behind what he does. He knows what he does works, and I think that's going to be a good formula for that team this year.
So he goes on to say more about how he thinks Preller, this is like a big make or break year for Preller, and you know Preller's got to perform and everything. And I mean, it is what you can tell by listening to Eric Hosmer, and there's more here, but we don't have time to play it. And you can go back and listen to it. But he thinks that he's pretty much passing the blame to AJ. I've been critical of AJ a lot, but it's not just all on him. He might be towards the top of the list as far as the blame goes, but the players are not far behind. They're not far behind at all. Speaking about you, Eric.
I always have an issue when athletes will be like, "Oh, I just don't have a platform to get in this." It's like, how many Twitter followers do you have? It's like you have a platform. You know, LeBron does this all the time too. It's like, dude, you have like 60 million Twitter followers. Don't act like you have a platform to where like if you say something, nobody's gonna listen to you.
Yeah, just admit that you did not like say like I know he mentioned like, yeah, I didn't play well, but no. There's
Only
no
certain
buts.
years.
There's no buts. It's you did not play well. I did not play well. I did not live up to my contract. I wish I could have. They gave me a lot of money to be a leader for this team, to perform on the field. I didn't do it. But he can't, he just can't go that route. It's this person's fault and this person's fault. And while the people that he's blaming do have a lot of blame on their shoulders as well, he's just a guy that can't take like criticism. I feel like he just can't take criticism. It's always like, yeah, I was bad, but it's other people's fault as well. Okay, well, great. You underperformed and you are now the worst contract in the history of the Padres franchise. 877-767-4760. Call right now to win a pair of Wonderfront tickets. We are playing Trainwreck Radio. 877-767-4760. Your chance to win a pair of Wonderfront tickets. Call right now, 877-767-4760. Trainwreck Radio coming up next. All right, coming up next, Trainwreck Radio to win your chance or to have the chance to win a pair of tickets to Wonderfront. Coming up next. Here on Jon and Jim. Brent, let's get to it.
There you go. The phone got stuck there for a second. All right, 3 questions, 2 contestants, 1 lifeline. Today's 2 contestants, we have Greg and Pete. But since we have no John today and you don't need to pick your teammate, that just means, Greg, you are going to go first. Pete, you're going to go second. You guys got it?
Got it. Go.
All right, so Greg first, Pete second,
Yeah,
correct?
Greg first, Pete second.
All righty, Brent, what's the question of the day?
And you're both stuck with him.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Coming into today's action, the Padres were 5th in Major League Baseball in batting average with a 263 average. Today's question: name anybody else in the top 8 in batting average in Major League Baseball.
So that's team, right?
Yep, team.
All right,
So
name
team
any
batting
teams in the
average,
batting
top
average.
8.
Right, okay. Team batting average, top 8 in baseball. Greg, you're up first. What's your first guess? You do have your lifeline if you want to use it.
Dodgers.
The Dodgers on the list. Pete, you're up next. What's your first guess? You have a lifeline if you want to use it.
Let's go with the Braves.
The Atlanta Braves. Yes, they're on the list as well. Greg, back to you. What is your second guess? You have a lifeline. If you want to use it.
Let's try the.
The who?
Tim, I need your help.
Oh, okay, you need a lifeline.
Yeah.
Let's go with the Baltimore Orioles. You take that.
Sure.
Well, Orioles are on the list. I lost track who's up
Pete.
now. Pete's up now. What is your second guess, Pete? You do have a lifeline if you want to use it.
I know the Brewers were scoring like 6 runs a game, so I go with the Brewers.
The Brewers list. Good job. Back to you, Greg. You don't have a lifeline, so it's all up to you. What's your final guess?
Let's try the Astros.
The Astros. So, Pete, you're going to need this thing to go to overtime. You do have a lifeline if you want to use it. What do you got?
Sure, I'll go with my lifeline.
Oh, boy. Okay. I'll go with the Pittsburgh. No. I'll go with. Did anybody say Texas Rangers, Brent? No. Texas Rangers. You take that.
So, yep.
Texas Rangers. Dude, let's go. All right. So now we're going to overtime. You both have me. So what we're going to do here is, Greg, your partner will be Brent. Pete, your partner will be me. So that will be your buzzer for the lifeline. Okay.
Got it.
All right, Brent. What's the question?
All right, the way overtime's going to work is I'm going to ask you guys a question. When I'm done asking the question, you're going to yell out the name of the partner, which is assigned to you a second ago. Don't yell out the answer. Whoever yells out the name of your partner first, you're going to win the game by getting the question wrong, or you're going to lose the game by getting the question. No, backwards. You're going to win by getting it right. You're going to lose by getting it wrong. It's one of those days. All right, guys. Today's overtime question: who started for the Padres today at pitcher?
Brent.
I heard Brent.
So,
Michael King.
Michael King, congratulations, Greg. You are the winner. You have won a pair of tickets to Wonderfront Music and Art Festival, which will be May 10th to May 12th. Over 80 artists across 9 stages, featuring Beck, Mount Joy, The Roots, Marcus King, Steel Pulse, Fruit Bats, JD Clayton, and a bunch more. So congratulations on your winning Wonderfun tickets during Trainwreck Radio. Brent, did we miss any teams? We missed 2, right? We missed 2.
Well, the Braves are 1. They're 302. They're the only team in the majors this year batting above 300. And it was the Brewers, the Warriors, the Astros, the Padres, the Rangers, Baltimore, and the only one that we missed was Cleveland.
Cleveland.
I know. They're like top of the stats. It's weird.
Interesting. Anyway, congratulations to Greg on winning Wonderfront tickets. All right, coming up next, former Aztec wide receiver. He's also partnered up with Aztec Link, Bill Hammett. He's going to join me live in the studio to talk about the spring game on Saturday. Also, a great event tomorrow for Aztec Link, which is a golf tournament. He'll give more information about that, and an amazing auction that you can do right now and go auction off and get some really, really cool items that he's going to give more information about. All of that coming up next. All right, this update is brought to you by Staples Stores. Padres, Brewers today, final game of a 3-game series. Padres got shut out. They lost 1-0. Michael King took a no-hitter into the 7th inning. They could not pick up the sweep, but the good news is on a 6-game roadie, they went 4-2. They have an off day tomorrow before they come back home on Friday as they take on the Toronto Blue Jays. Moving over to the NBA play-in tournament. Last night was the Western Conference. The Lakers, they beat the Pelicans. They're now the 7th seed. They'll take on the Denver Nuggets in round 1. You can hear all the action right here on San Diego Sports 760. And the Kings beat the Warriors. Warriors are eliminated. Kings will now take on the Pelicans for the 8th seed to play the Oklahoma City Thunder. Staples can print anything you need to move your business forward, like banners, flyers, signs, and catalogs, some even on the same day. And now at Staples, save $50 on your print purchase of $150 or more. Offer ends 6/1. Visit staples.com/print for details. Staples, your local print and marketing expert. All right, hour 3 on Jon and Jim. Jon is, of course, off this week. He'll be back on Saturday when we will be at Snapdragon Stadium for the Aztec Fast Spring Game. We'll be broadcasting from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. So if you're going to the spring game this Saturday, me and Jon will be there up until when it starts at 1 p.m. It's great to be joined right now by former Aztec wide receiver Bill Hammett in studio. And Bill is here because there's something special happening tomorrow afternoon to kick off this whole red and black weekend with Aztec Link, which is a vital piece of the puzzle now in college football with the Aztecs football team. And Bill, thanks for joining me. Appreciate it, man.
Thank you for having us.
So tomorrow is this Aztec Link golf tournament. Friday is, I got my days mixed up. It's been a long week already. It's only Wednesday, but Friday is the Aztec Link golf tournament. And for you, tell me about how this got started and what should we expect this Friday for this golf tournament?
Yeah, so this golf tournament, this will be the first time we're doing it under the Aztec Link banner. For many people, they've been familiar with the tournament we've run for many years that was run by the Ex-Football Player Association.
Mm-hmm.
So we've done this many times. We put together a fantastic party that happens to have golf going through the middle of it. So we will be out at Twin Oaks Golf Course.
I'm very jealous.
Yes, Friday afternoon. It's beautiful out there. The weather's going to be perfect. And this all proceeds benefit Aztec Link, which is the NIL program, the official NIL partner of San Diego State University, and all of the sports, football, all the Olympic sports, but with a focus a lot on football.
And Aztec Link is fairly new. It's only been around for a couple of years. How long have you been associated with it? Have you been with it since the beginning? Or I know J.R. Tolver is one of your good buddies that he decided, hey, we need your help here. Come on board.
Well, as a business owner and a family man, I was slow to get involved because I got a lot of commitments, but there was some fantastic people that JR put on the board, Mike Coleman being someone that has done a ton of work. And with those people around, I knew that it was going to be something that could be successful. Joined it about a year and a half ago, and I'm the events chair. I don't know a lot about some of these organizational things, but I know I'll throw a good party. And so
Perfect.
So I'm doing a lot of the events. The golf tournament will be our signature event. The first one coming, we'll do several events throughout the year, but this will be the big one.
Mm-hmm. And is this something that you want to have be like a staple every single year for Aztec Link?
Absolutely. Yeah. Coach Lewis wants to be putting on a whole weekend showcase, which is what we're coming up on with the kickoff to the weekend being the golf tournament. So this will be year 1 of that. So we'll kick this off Friday at 1:00 at Twin Oaks Golf Course, fully sold out field. There'll be a dinner program afterwards where we'll be doing auctions, raffle items, and raising money for the benefit of playing top 25 college football in San Diego.
And you mentioned the auction. That's the big part of this.
That's the big part.
The silent auction.
Sure.
So where can people go to bid on some of these items? And we'll talk about these items here in a moment because there are some amazing items that you can bid on right now. But give the people out there, Aztecs fans, where to go for the silent auction and where they can bid on those things.
Yeah, so the short answer is azteclink.com.
Mm-hmm.
You'll see on the homepage across the top a button that says silent auction. You'll hit that. It'll give you a button that says learn more, and you'll be taken right to the silent auction site. And this really is, we need thousands of people, not hundreds of people involved in NIL for San Diego State. And in a golf tournament, you can only have 130, 140 people out there, but this silent auction is something we put together so that we could get the masses of people involved in NIL, the many people that maybe can't take an afternoon off on a Friday, that can't cut big fat checks, that want to be involved in the success of Aztec football. This is the way you go about doing that.
And correct me if I'm wrong, all of the bids go directly to Aztec Link, directly to the players.
Every dollar that we raise on this silent auction is going towards the players, helping attract and retain the talent that we need to be successful on the field.
Love it. So a couple items here on the silent auction that I might even bid on. You have a full Callaway fitting experience.
Yeah. Callaway has been a tremendous partner. Shout out to the local company that was jumped on board very early, reached out to us, was happy to be a part of it. They've provided 2 different auction items. The first one you're mentioning there is going up to the Eli Callaway Center and getting a full professional fitting like a pro golfer in their pro golf center. You leave out of there with a custom set of clubs tailor fitted to your specifications, just like you're a professional golfer. Now you're going to probably go out there and play like an amateur golfer with those clubs. I can't help you with that. We don't have anything to bid on being a pro golfer, but you will get a full set of golf clubs, Callaway clubs, top of the line. This is truly kind of a priceless item because you can't just go do this.
Yeah.
So that's one of them. Then they're offering a fitting for a Callaway driver, one of their brand new Callaway drivers. And with that is a foursome to the Farms, which is one of the premier golf courses in San Diego.
That's something that if I wasn't getting married in a month and have a lot of bills to pay, I might bid on that one. But my future wife might not like that.
Yeah.
But a couple of other items here that if you want to support the Aztec football players, support Aztec Link, this is like the best way to do it, and you get amazing things out of it as well. The Golden State Warriors VIP day game experience.
Fantastic.
How do these things come about? Like how do you get these items to be able to put on a silent auction for Aztec Link?
You know, it's the people of San Diego. I mean, San Diego is a big town with small town vibes, and people are very connected with San Diego State University. There is a good friend of mine for many, many years who works in the front office of the Golden State Warriors. His name is Mike Kitts. Many San Diegans might know him. He is someone that gives us this particular item. And what it is it's 2 lower bowl seats. It's 2 seats courtside to watch warmups, which I did this. Mike was generous enough to help me and my wife do this a couple years ago.
Oh, must be nice.
And we saw Zion warm up, and I was like, babe, this is like watching Michael Jordan in '85 right now. And you got that, and then you got tickets to the VIP, the JP Morgan Chase Club, where everything is all the food and drinks are there. So fantastic stuff there.
Yeah, there's a bunch of things on this silent auction. Too many to go over right now. Those are just a couple. There's a San Diego State football game day experience. There's a VIP San Diego Way football club package. There's trips to Cabo. There's trip to Colorado. There's signed memorabilia. So if you are out there right now and you want to help these Aztec football players in a huge way, this is something that is, good for the players, but also you get a prize and you get something, a reward out of it.
Fantastic. I mean, I think that one of the things is with NIL, a lot of times people like me asking other people for money. Just check. Cut a check, and it doesn't feel like there's much return on investment. We understand it completely, which is why we spend a ton of time putting stuff together that has very much a return. Talking about getting married, she would love you can get a discount honeymoon right here.
I know. I was looking at. I was like, Cabo, because we went to Cabo last year, and she was like, "This was my favorite trip of all time." Yeah. I'm looking at it, and I'm like, we spent a lot more than that to go to Cabo.
Some fantastic donors. Deborah and Jim Marshall donated that. So they've been really supportive with us there. There is something for everybody. There is something we just put up there, and we're still putting stuff up every day. Something we just put up there yesterday was a signed Chargers ball by LaDainian Tomlinson, Dan Fouts, Kellen Winslow, and Charlie Joyner.
Whoa.
I mean, there's that stuff. There's a Khalil Mack football. There's a goals package. Greg Zweig and his team over at the goals were very generous with
signed
us.
Marshall Falk print.
Yeah, there's all that in that game day experience you talked about with the Aztecs. That is going to the team hotel. That is having breakfast. That is sitting in the team meetings, which is a super unique experience. It's riding the bus to the game, doing the Warrior walk, and running onto the field with the team.
That's amazing. So how long do people have to bid on these items, and when does this whole entire auction close?
So this auction is going to close Friday night at 8 p.m.
Okay.
That's going to be the conclusion of our dinner program at the golf tournament at 8 p.m. And there's a countdown on there right now. I got to look. I don't know if it's exactly 8 p.m. there, but get in now. This is, again, if you want to support Aztec football, but you want a little something back for it, this is the way to go right here.
And, we haven't talked about the actual football team because, the Aztec link is nothing without the actual football team.
For sure.
And Sean Lewis, we were talking a little bit before we got on here. It feels like Sean Lewis is the perfect modern day coach for NIL and for activities and things like this.
Correct. Coach Lewis has been such a breath of fresh air. The previous coach and their coaches were fantastic human beings that did a fantastic job. We thank them for what they did for the program. But Coach Lewis has come in with a different look at this whole program, the different look at the way college football in 2024 and beyond is supposed to be treated. He's not running away from the hardest parts of it, which is raising money, bringing in talented kids, going out and getting Power 5 transfers to play the most important positions on the field.
Right.
And he's ready to go, and he's going to put the ball in the air. For those of you that have felt like Aztec football has not been fun enough, understood, come check us out.
Yeah, we can't wait. We'll be out there Saturday morning, me and John, 11 a.m. to 1 p.m., getting you ready for the spring game at 1 p.m. Friday is the golf tournament, the silent auction. It says right here 2 days and 3 hours. So I think it's 8 p.m. on Friday. So get there right now. Again, what's the link to that silent auction?
It is azteclink.com, and you'll see across the top of the page, it says silent auction. Go there and bid, and help out the program. And then also we'll see you at the Aztec Fast Showcase, Saturday, Snapdragon Stadium, 1:00. A little shout out for any ex-football players listening. We're going to be doing a special pre-party for ex-football players at the game on Sunday at the Dos Equis Club on the east side of the stadium. We're having some food and some drinks for ex-players, and we'll have field passes available for the ex-players as well. So we're trying to get all the ex-players back in the fold, get everybody back to the stadium, back to the games, and back thinking red and black.
I love it. Absolutely love it. Saturday. It's going to be a fun time. Can't wait to be out there. Can't wait to see you out there. Can't wait to see the final bids for all of these items on the silent auction here. And then Friday, again, I am very jealous that you guys will be out playing golf. While
somebody's got to do it.
Someone has to do it. Bill, thank you so much for joining me. Appreciate it. Again, go over to azteclink.com. You can figure out all the ways to support Aztec Link to help out these players and help out the entire program. Thank you so much for joining me, man.
Thank you for having me.
Appreciate it. All right. There's Bill Hammett right there. Aztec Link. Go there right now. Check out everything to help out these players in this program. All right. So coming up later in this hour, a very interesting, exchange with Caitlin Clark. It was very awkward. It just was a very awkward thing. You've got to listen to it because she has now become the biggest star in the WNBA. She has become the number one attraction. Brent, I don't know if you saw the amount of people that watched the WNBA draft. It was like 2.5 million people watched, blowing the entire ratings out of the water for how many people have watched that WNBA draft.
That's probably more people that have watched actual WNBA seasons.
Yeah, I think that Caitlin Clark is somebody that has the potential to make the WNBA, ratings, I guess, matter. Like and she has that. I don't know what it is, but she has it.
We'll see if it translates. There's lots of people, like I said before, my dad's one of them, that he'll watch any college basketball game, but he won't watch pro sports, other than like NFL and maybe like the Brewers if you pay him. He won't, like tonight's playing game, you could give him $50, he won't watch it just because he hates pro sports. Right. So I think there's a lot of people that will tune in for an Iowa game that they're not going to even consider tuning in for the Fever.
True. I get that, but this what you'll hear at the bottom of the hour here. It's kind of cringeworthy. I think it'd be a miracle if
they just start small and just, this is the first year where you're actually, in the plus, because it's, not a big secret that, the NBA funds the league and that they lose, on an average about $10 to $13 million every season, because some people was on the Today Show, Hoda Kotb, or how you say her last name. She was mad because they brought up a stat of what Wemby made his rookie year compared to what she's making, but they totally left out the fact that, we just did the thing about all the sold out arenas in the NBA and the attendance. Is like, there's a reason why Wemby makes all that money and Caitlin's only getting what she's getting, because they need to sell tickets. So we'll see.
We shall see. So the topic of today has been about Xander Bogaerts and the conversation of, okay, where should he hit in this lineup? Because leading off, it's not doing it right now. Leading off for this team has not worked for Xander Bogaerts. And it's not a conversation about benching him. It's not a conversation about they should trade him right now and cut him and everything. But the conversation needs to be had, keeping Xander Bogaerts in the leadoff spot, it feels like, is hitting your head against a wall. Like, it's like, what's the saying? The insanity, like the insanity saying.
Oh, the definition of insanity, doing the same thing over and over and expecting the same results or different results or something like that.
Exactly.
I know what you mean.
That is what hitting Xander Bogaerts in the leadoff spot feels like right now. Could change. Maybe it changes this weekend. But if you're going to continue to give him the opportunities, at some point he's got to have a breakout series, have a breakout week, have a breakout something.
I would hope that, say hypothetically they move him down to 6th and he starts to hit. Is he just going to go, okay, hey, look, I'm in a groove now. Just leave me here. Just don't touch me. Leave me here. Or is he going to go, hey, I'm hitting now. Can I go back to leadoff?
Right.
You said that you're moving me because I'm not hitting, and now I'm hitting. And I want to go back to leadoff. It's just like, well, you're kind of doing really well here at the 6th spot. Don't you just want to stay there? Nope. I want to go back to leadoff. I would kind of hope that he would just want to stay where he is because, baseball players are the most superstitious, creatures of habit out of all pro sports. So you'd think, if he would go on a big hitting streak, batting wherever they move him, that he would just want to stay there and not go back.
Well, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. If Xander goes down to the 6th hole or hits 7th, which I think he should hit 7th right now. If he starts hitting, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Keep him there. It's like, Ha-Seong Kim has a track record of last year in the leadoff spot doing really well. Fernando Tatis Jr., another guy. Leadoff spot, look at his numbers. He's fantastic. They have other guys that can lead off for this team. And right now it feels like every time Xander's up, you're not expecting much. You're kind of expecting him to be that automatic out, unfortunately. And as of right now, the team is scoring a bunch of runs. They're winning games. So it's not like the end all be all. It's not what's causing these losses. But to have your leadoff hitter be a negative and be a net zero, it's just, you gotta switch something up.
Well, another reason why I agree that they should just have Kim bat lead off, like you said. Kim had 38 stolen bases last year.
I know.
So
he could be a 40. He could be 40 stolen base guy.
Someone on one of the chats kind of brought it up too about, well, okay, let's say Xander gets on base. Then what? He's just like a sentry because he doesn't have that great of speed, so he's not going to steal bases. He's just going to kind of sit there. So you'd rather have your leadoff guy if he's going to get on base. He's going to be a threat to steal or get into scoring position, opposed to just, oh, I got a bloop single. Now I'm just going to stand here at first, and everyone knows I'm not going to steal, even with the new stealing rules.
So there's this thing going around on social media, Brent, and we've seen it happen as early as last year. When Trey Turner was struggling with the Phillies, they created this fan movement to give every time he got to the plate, a standing ovation. And it worked because I think after that moment, Trey Turner just took off. And I think he hit a home run that game and he did much better. But if you look at Trey Turner's start to last year, it was really bad. And he got a $300 million contract, not a $280 million contract. And we know Philly fans. I know Philly fans. I'm married to one of them, or I'm getting married to one of them. They're not the most forgiving fans on the planet. So to have that fan base give a guy that got a $300 million contract a standing ovation when he was struggling, do you think that the Padres fans on Friday night should do the same thing for Xander? Or at least if this continues down this path where he's still leading off and by the end of the month he's hitting like 204, should there be a moment this year where we all stand up at Petco and give Xander a standing ovation every time he's at the plate?
What's it going to hurt? You might as well. And, there's a portion of the fan base that they would do that anyways. Because remember, they're the ones that always get mad if we're critical about a guy hitting 150. We should just, eat your nachos and shut up and have fun at the ballpark. So,
right.
A big portion of the fan base was going to be on board. So it'd just be a matter of getting the cynics on board. As long as we outnumber them.
Look, I am one of the biggest cynics out there. I just am not like a very positive person. Like, I'm not going to sit here and be like, everything's okay. Everything is fine. I try to be as real as possible. These types of things, got to be honest with you, kind of make me cringe a little bit. Just because, like, I mean, the guy's making $280 million. Does he really need that emotional support from the fan base? Maybe. Maybe he does. Maybe I'm just too naive to that. And maybe I view these guys sometimes as just like robots instead of actually real people. And that's probably on me. But, it's not gotten to a point where every time he's coming to the plate, he's getting booed out of the stadium.
No, not yet.
No. That's a couple years away. So, while I do think it's maybe a little cringe, I'm for it. Try it out. See if it works. This weekend, starting Friday night, giving Xander Bogaerts a standing ovation and see if it works. And if it works, then keep doing it. It's great. But if it doesn't work, then it's going to be it's going to be a little awkward. We give a standing ovation to a guy that just went 0 for 4 with 2 strikeouts. And we continue to give this guy a standing ovation and he's not producing. It's got to actually work.
Well, if it doesn't work after a couple times, they're just going to stop doing it. It's not like if, they do it 3 games in a row and it doesn't work, they're just going to keep doing it. They'll abandon it if it doesn't work after 2 games.
So I'm for it. It couldn't hurt. So Friday night, if you're listening, watching on YouTube right now, and you're going to the game on Friday night, give Xander a standing ovation in the first inning. Screw it. See what happens. And maybe it catches on. Maybe other people around you are like, wait, what are you guys doing? And then they'll talk to you and you can tell them, standing ovation for Xander to give him some encouragement. It couldn't hurt. I think it's a little cringy, but hey, you know what? I'm willing to try anything. And if that helps Xander Bogaerts out and that turns out to be a turning point for him and he actually starts hitting the ball with, power and his barrels go up and his exit velo off the bat goes up, shut up, nerd, then guess what? We can go back to shut up, nerd! The standing ovations for Xander Bogaerts and say, hey, look, we helped Xander get out of his slump.
That's fine. As long as they don't start putting we heart Xander up on the Titantron.
Let's keep it to like a couple standing ovations. Maybe throughout, I guess, maybe just for the series, his first at bat every game, you give a standing ovation. I'm okay with that. Because it wouldn't be something that you've never seen before. You've seen it as recent with Anthony Rodon. You've seen it as recent with Trey Turner last year. And those are 2 guys making big time money. Xander's another guy making big time money, not performing. So hell, give him a standing ovation, see what happens. All right, coming up next, the most awkward, cringeworthy press conference maybe ever exchanged between Caitlin Clark and a reporter? You'll hear that come up next. All right, coming up next, the most awkward, cringiest exchange between Caitlin Clark and a reporter. You'll hear that coming up next. This update is brought to you by Staples Stores. Padres finished up their 6-game road trip today versus the Brewers. They got shut out in the game. They lost 1-0. Michael King took a no-hitter to the 7th inning. Padres had a 4-2 roadie. They now have an off day tomorrow, and they'll be home on Friday to start a 3-game series with the Toronto Blue Jays. Other news with the Padres today, they sent Yu Darvish to the 15-day IL with neck pain. In the NBA play-in tournament, yesterday was the Western Conference. The Lakers beat the Pelicans. They're moving on to take on the Denver Nuggets as the 7th seed. The Pelicans will now face the Kings as the Kings beat the Warriors last night, ending their dynasty run. Those two teams will play for the chance to be the 8th seed and take on the Oklahoma City Thunder. Staples can print anything you need to move your business forward, like banners, flyers, signs, and catalogs. Some even on the same day. Now at Staples, save $50 on your print purchase of $150 or more. Offer ends 6/1. Visit staples.com/print for details. Staples, your local print and marketing expert. All right, back here on Jon and Jim. So Caitlin Clark was introduced today to the media in Indiana. She was on the Pat McAfee show this morning. The ratings, like we talked about, were a massive, massive hit for the WNBA draft. Almost 2.5 million people tuned in for that. Caitlin Clark, listen to this. So courtside tickets right now for Fever games compared to Pacer playoff tickets. Pacer playoff courtside seats go for $1,200. Courtside seats for the Fever games, $2,400. Whatever she's doing, it's hitting with majority of people out there, with selling, with ticket sales, with exposure, with views, with ratings. Like it's having she's having a positive effect. Is it because she has the style and flair like Steph Curry where she shoots 40 footers? Is it because she broke the record for most points ever scored by a women's basketball player ever in college? Is it just that simple that she has become this, ratings bonanza for the WNBA just because her game kind of resembles Steph's, where she's shooting just long three after long three and scoring 40 points and having these crazy step backs and, breaking records in college. And she has, commercials with State Farm. She's easily, the most recognizable WNBA player right now. I don't really truly know the exact reason. I don't think I can put my finger on the exact reason why Caitlin Clark is as big as she is. I just know that wherever she goes, whatever she does, it's drawn ratings and it's drawn a lot of money and a lot of sponsorships, and good for her and good for the sport. But she was introduced today, and Greg Doyle, who is a longtime reporter in Indianapolis, had this weird, awkward exchange with Caitlin Clark. And I'm like, bro, what are you doing? Here's that exchange.
Hi, Caitlin. Greg Doyle, Indy Star. Real quick, let me do this.
You like that?
I like that you're here. I like that you're here.
I do that at my family after every game, so.
Okay, well, let's start doing it to me and we'll be able to get along just fine. So, question is.
Huh? What? It might have been just like a joke that just didn't hit. A joke that came off creepy.
That's pretty much what it was.
Yeah, it was a joke that came off creepy. Now, Greg has tweeted out, today in my uniquely oafish way, while welcoming Caitlin Clark to Indy, I formed my hands into her gesture, which is a heart gesture. My comment afterwards was clumsy and awkward. I sincerely apologize. Please know my heart, literally and figuratively, was well intentioned. I will do better. I believe him. I don't think this was like just a creeper being a creeper. This to me feels like, and he even admits it, just like an awkward guy making a joke that he thought might have been funny, but it came off to be completely off. And it happens. We all do that. We all make these weird jokes, and it's like, dude, bro, yeah, I don't know if you should say that. I mean, anytime I joke around, John is terrified and petrified because he feels like I'm going to get him fired for something. But I tend to believe him here, and I don't think it's like this like awkward thing that's going to linger between, Greg Doyle and Caitlin Clark. But I mean, Caitlin Clark is the talk of just women's sports in general. And I think that in order for this to really truly hit and maintain, I think she's going to have to be the best player in the sport right away. If Caitlin Clark is not good in the WNBA, Brent, I think this will like slowly die off. She needs to be from day one the best player, like MVP next year, rookie of the year, lead her team to the postseason, be that player.
She's going to have to do what she did in college.
Exactly.
She's going to have to score 40 points, not a game, but she's going to have to, every few games, put up 40 and she's going to have to do what she did. If she comes out and, averages 15 and 7, then that's not going to do it. Everyone will forget about her.
Yeah. In order to stay on top here, she's going to have to perform like she did in college. Absolutely. And if she does, then it's like, okay, everybody made the right investment here. The endorsements, the money, the viewership, it was all it's all worth it. And I think she can do it. She has a chance to do it. And we'll see. As Greg Doyle gives her the heart sign every single time down the court, making it super, super awkward, bro. All right, coming up next, my back page. Stay with us. Jon and Jim for this Wednesday. Right now, 877-767-4760. You want Wonderfront tickets? Call right now. Caller number 5. Caller number 5. You have won a pair. You have won a pair of Wonderfront tickets for May 10th through the 12th here in San Diego. 877-767-4760. Caller number 5. You have won a pair of Wonderfront tickets. Call right now. 877-767-4760. Just be caller number 5 and you win a pair of Wonderfront tickets. Brent, let's get to it. I feel like this should be a story for the morning show, guys, because San Diego in the Gas Lamp Quarter are doing their first ever cocktail championships. More than 20 bars and restaurants are entering one of their signature cocktails in the region's first ever cocktail championship later this month. Guests are welcome to try any or all of 21 competing cocktails at the competition. Here's some places that will be in the competition. The Grass Skirt in Pacific Beach, Inside Out in Hillcrest. Love Inside Out. Love it. If you have not heard of Inside Out, you need to go there. It's like in the middle of an apartment complex. The drinks are fantastic. And when you go, trust me, order the filet mignon steak because you get to grill it in front of you. Order that with some shrimp. Oh, amazing. Cocobana in Oceanside, and along with 18 others. So this sounds like a fun little thing to do. The cocktail championship takes place at Rustic Root on 5th Avenue in the Gas Lamp Quarter on Saturday, April 28th from 1 p.m. to 6 p.m. So if you guys like to drink and you guys like to try out some tasty cocktails, that sounds like a fun time. The first ever cocktail championship in San Diego. This is a crazy story. I mentioned earlier this week about, and we talked about it when John was here before the Masters started, like the number one thing when you go to the Masters is to buy as much merch as possible, because what people do is they buy merch. They usually buy, if they want like a hat, they don't just buy one hat, you buy like 50 hats, and then you sell them on the secondary market for like quadruple their value, and people buy them. A man was charged with transporting stolen Masters memorabilia. Theft of items from Augusta National Golf Club allegedly occurred over a 13-year period. A man has been charged in federal court with the transport of millions of dollars worth of stolen Masters memorabilia from Augusta Golf Course over a 13-year stretch. According to the online court records, this man is being charged with stealing from 2009 to 2022.
What is he stealing? Golf tees?
He's stealing memorabilia from their shop.
Like, what's that? Golf tees?
Like hats and shirts and like
Tiger used this golf tee.
Well, it's the stuff that you can only get at Augusta.
Oh, okay.
If any of the items can't be located, have been diminished in value, or have been commingled with other property that cannot be divided without difficulty, the United States of America shall be entitled to forfeiture of substitute property, officials say in the charging documents. What that means, I have no idea, but this guy's in trouble. He stole from Augusta for 13 freaking years. And if he's convicted, he'd have to forfeit any property and cash attained from proceeds traced to the stolen items, the government said. So if he stole a bunch of items, Brent, and say he sold it for like, I'm just making up a number, 13 years, that's a long time. Let's say 1.5 million. I'm probably too big of a number. I don't know. But let's just say 1.5 million. That dude, if he's convicted, will have to pay up to 1.5 million in all of the stuff that he sold from stealing at Augusta. Bro, why?
It's almost like he took investment advice from Jonte Porter.
And Ippei Matsuhara. Well, he just gambled. He didn't do anything crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. And finally, it was Jackie Robinson Day the other day. And I think this would be a cool memorabilia item to have, even though it's a Dodger thing. So maybe it's not that cool. But a game-worn Jackie Robinson Brooklyn Dodger jacket.
Oh, that's okay. Brooklyn Dodgers are okay. We just hate the LA Dodgers.
Right. We hate the LA Dodgers. Hate them. But a Brooklyn Dodgers game-worn Jackie Robinson jacket. Guess how much it sold for, Brent?
$1.5 million.
$595.
Oh, that's it?
That's it. I'm like, whoa.
Every time you have something on an auction that I think is cool and is going to get a bunch of money, they're like, nah, $50.
$50.
And it's like something that's crap, and they're like, $2 million.
Like, wait, what? Like, this would be a pretty cool item to have. I mean, Jackie Robinson game-worn Brooklyn Dodger jacket. I wouldn't buy it because I don't like any type of Dodgers.
Well, you think that should be in like a museum or something? Send that to Cooperstown. You're going to buy it for that. Wow. That surprises me.
Exactly. So you can buy a Jackie Robinson, I guess, jacket for not that much. And finally, I guess, equation to why Coke is so good at McDonald's has been cracked. According to food scientists,
Crack in the fountain.
Yeah. These are the reasons why Coca-Cola is so delicious at McDonald's. It does taste different.
Oh yeah, there's that meme. There's like 5 different Cokes. There's Mexican Coke, there's McDonald's Coke, and yeah.
So it says 1, it's pre-chilled.
Okay.
2, the water's better. McDonald's cites that they use filtered water to ensure our drinks are the gold standard. They pay attention to the packaging. They make sure that the syrup in bag is used at a certain, it's like ratioed out to a certain point. And the straws are typically wider straws, so the Coke can hit your taste buds faster.
Okay.
So the size of the straw, they use filtered water, and they chill their ingredients for the Coca-Cola. Is the reasons why the Coke tastes better at McDonald's.
I think it's funny to use filtered water to make the Coke, but if you order a water, they're just gonna give you tap water.
Yeah, that's $7. All right, tomorrow we'll have Mike Farron on the show. He'll join us in the first hour. I'm thinking of calling John to see if he wants to chime in on anything that's happened this week,
Sure,
or just
in the Play-Doh
or
factory
just
or
maybe just
something.
let him continue to have his vacation in Philadelphia with his family. We'll see how that goes. But thanks to Bill Hammett today for joining us. Aztec Link, go there right now. The silent option up, ready to go bid on some of those items. Until tomorrow, have a great rest of your night, everybody.